YouTube, buzz it. Going the Goat House is back with updated power rankings heading into week 11 of the NFL season. Update these every Tuesday afternoon. You win, you go up, you go on a streak, it helps you go up, you look good on the field, or you get statement wins. All those things help your team move up in these power rankings. You lose, you go down. That's usually how it works. Not end of the year predictions with these power rankings. So excited to reveal these for this week. We got weekly picks, score predictions, and more. Always, every single NFL week, we got you covered. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow our Twitter. Very important for NFL updates. Any link that you're looking for, description, comments. Here's our Twitter, keeping you guys updated. You guys are voting for players of the week here, like always. You guys vote for the games for each game each week. Those are right here, as you can see. Good reasons to follow the Twitter. Always giving you updates during live games as well. Lions remain at the bottom. Yes, they tied. Still looking for that win. Not enough for me to move them up. They probably could have won that game, obviously. They played well enough in terms of, I guess on the ground to win that game. Just not enough for me to move them up still. There was a couple games you felt like they could have won. They kind of blew a little bit. They got beat up by the Eagles as well going into that. Think they can win. Really thought about moving them up, but, just still not enough there. Go out and win a game here. Go out and win a game you should win. It matters. It means something if you consistently can't win games that, maybe you could win. Texans are at 31. Obviously off the bye week, so we'll see if they figure they got the Titans this week. We'll see if they can figure something out against a division rival. Jets kind of moving back down towards the bottom. They were kind of sticking with the Bills early in that game. I think that fumble, Corey Davis fumble, Micah Hyde strip, really changed things in that game, and it went downhill from there. It was a pretty bad matchup because we talked about it. All of a sudden, the Jets flipped. They were an offensive team, somewhat of an offensive team, and a very poor defensive team. They just flipped. In a game like this, the defense isn't going to be good, but against the number one ranked defense and the Bills, how will the offense be? And it really struggled. So that didn't help them. And, teams like Washington and the Dolphins winning didn't help them as well. So that kind of forces them to move down. Jaguars down 2 spots. I mean, hey, they beat the Bills last week, and they put up a pretty good fight with the Colts. They came back. They could have won that game. They almost don't feel like deserving of moving down the bottom towards the bottom 2 spots, but again, the Dolphins winning again and Washington beating the Bucks, that kind of forced them down kind of by default there. Bears down 2 spots, same situation. I think the Bears are a better team at the end of the day than 28. It's kind of an assumption, but big losing streak. Again, it's another situation where teams just below them, Washington, Miami, kind of had to sneak above them and the Jags, the Jets, so it's kind of the same situation. Last time we seen the Bears play was Monday night against Steelers. I like the way they look in the second half. I think the play calling was better, which, you don't really expect to say that about their play calling. I thought Justin Fields looked great, so and they'll get Khalil Mack back here, so maybe the Bears can get something going. It's definitely possible. But for now, they are at 28, 27. Washington wins. It's a statement win against the Buccaneers, so they move up. A statement win like that, you almost want to move them up more, but you got to remember that's one game. They're fresh off a big-time losing streak, and they didn't really get some help. Well, they got some help with teams like the Bears. Well, the Bears had a bye, but the Jags, the Jets losing. But other teams like the 49ers, Eagles, Vikings win, so not too many teams you can possibly jump there, but they still go up 3 spots with an impressive win that nobody thought they can win against the Buccaneers there. The Dolphins pretty much in the same boat. It's an impressive game against the Ravens. Look like they found some sort of matchup advantage towards them to exploit the Ravens there and win that game. That defensive performance was honestly one of the best on the year, any defense. So that was impressive there. So another win for them. And we'll see if they can keep going, keep moving up. Again, a statement win like that, you almost want to move them up more, but you kind of got to remember what they've done this season. And teams like, the Niners, the Eagles, the Vikings, teams they possibly could have jumped, they end up winning. So they didn't get a whole lot of love there, but impressive. I'm impressed with that Dolphins defense. It might have been just kind of a matchup, a mismatch there for the Ravens. So how will it work against other teams? Are the Dolphins defense back? Kind of going to wait and see. I do kind of like how it matches up against the Jets, but we'll see. Next, for the Falcons are down 6 spots here. Another situation where, they had a bad loss. And it's to the Cowboys, a good team. Lost by 40. Disastrous game. Kind of teams in their range of the rankings last week won, so it kind of forced the Falcons down further than maybe you would expect. But 40-point loss pretty bad there. Giants had a bye. They're down one spot just because some other teams are moving up that were just behind them. So that's what it would be. They play the Buccaneers on Monday night. Winnable game. They had a tight game last year. Seahawks down 3 spots. Another team that, prediction, when it's all said and done, we think the Seahawks should be better in this, But they got to go out and do it. They got Russell Wilson back. He didn't look right last week. He can get right this week. Just go out and do it, and you'll move up here. It's one of those situations. They're down 3 spots. Broncos are a very disappointing outing against the Eagles. Got completely dominated in that game. It was close for a little bit there, but yeah, extremely disappointing there. They're down 4 spots to number 22. 21 49ers. That's a dominant win against the Rams. I love the way they played. We haven't seen that from the 49ers all year. They don't have a statement win all year. They played some pretty bad games. We haven't seen their defense flying around the field like that. We haven't seen the offense stay consistently move the ball and clutch up on 3rd downs, 4th downs. We saw a touchdown. We haven't seen that yet. So it's one game. It's a big one, so they're going to move up 4 spots here. But let's see if they can put that together going more. I like what I saw, and you kind of get the feeling that, okay, maybe the 49ers are kind of back here, but they got to prove it to us because, according to this NFL season, no team can ever be back. So it's like, okay, the team's back and they lose, and then they're back and they lose. So they got to go out and do it. They finally get a statement win. That's a big-time statement win. So I did love what I saw there, but keep on doing it. They're up 4 spots for now. Eagles up 2 spots. That's a dominant win against the Broncos. Yeah, I almost want to move the Eagles up more because I do really feel like they're a better team. It's a dominant win. It's tough to move them ahead. Some of the teams that, same with the 49ers, you got such statement wins. It's just tough to throw them up there with some of these other teams are doing here. But I'm impressed with the Eagles. I'm impressed. The offense is getting better. Hurts is getting better. Devontae Smith, love what I see from him. He's going to be a star. The running game is better. Jordan Howard could still run. I like what I see from the Eagles. Saints game, that's a pretty tough game. Eagles versus Saints. That's one of the tough ones to pick for this week. Raiders down 4 spots. Yeah, extremely disappointing. They lost to the Giants last week, and they're going to get dominated by the Chiefs this past week. And it's just extremely disappointing for the Raiders. They were at the top at one point, and that's because they were winning and going on a winning streak. Now they're losing. They're going on a losing streak, and they also just don't look as good on the field, which plays a huge part. So they're heading south at that time of the year where they start to head south. But, hey, we're only one game into the second half of the year. It's pretty easy to turn it around. Very easy. Just go out and win ball games. They got the Bengals this week. I'm looking forward to that game. Vikings go up 3 spots. They beat the Chargers. You don't really expect the Vikings to win that game, even though they're putting up fights with pretty much any team. But they go out there and they outplay the Chargers, and they don't make it interesting at the last second. It's not a comfortable win, but they win by 7. They don't make it come down to the last play, so pretty good. They were missing half their defense too, which a lot of teams are injured, but I'm just kind of surprised they pulled that off. I thought it was kind of 50-50 game, but then I saw how many guys were on defense. I'm like, it's pretty growing confidence with the Chargers there, but they played a hell of a game there, the Vikings. So they go up 3 spots, but can they go on a winning streak? Can they consistently pull these games out? That is the big question with the Vikings. They have a chance to go do that against the Packers this week. Beat the Packers. That'll help you in a ranking system like this big time, but tough task, but they are at home. And the Packers got some injuries now. Browns down 4 spots. It feels like every other game, disappointing, then impressive, disappointing, impressive. Luckily, they play the Lions this week, but even when they win against the Lions, I don't think I'll be too impressed. But it's a must-win for them. Just got completely dominated by the Patriots. The Patriots way more physical and just a better team. I'll play on both sides of the ball. I see the Browns kind of dig themselves a hole, and they, when the Browns, I believe at the end of the day, the Browns, if I had to rank teams based on their talent, based off their rosters, the Browns are better than 17. They're not playing like that, but that's really not where my point's going. At the end of the day, I think they're better than number 17 team in terms of talent. But if this team kind of doesn't start perfect and they're kind of down, if every single team in the NFL, if you had to rank teams in the NFL by that situation, the Browns are towards the very bottom. They're worse than 17. So everything has to be picture perfect, and I worry about that for them. So they're down 4 spots, 17. Just a pretty disappointing year. Had some injuries, got beat up. It's unfortunate. They're not at full strength, but every NFL team is. Really, every NFL team is. Like I say that for all these teams. I catch a lot this year. Like, they're beat up here and there, but every team is. That's what it kind of feels like. Panthers, I moved up the Panthers whopping 8 spots. I love this defense. I know people are probably sick of me saying that because I keep bringing it up. I just really love the Panthers. The Panthers, that is, their defense. And the defense and what you do on the field matters. What you do on the field matters to me. It always has. And their defense, what they have done on the field, kind of made me say, this defense can win games by itself, but then you have the offense kind of throwing games away, and it kind of takes that away from the defense. But now I don't really get that feeling, and it's not really an assumption anymore. It's not really like, I love the defense. It can win games itself, right? No, wait, what is the offense going to do? Now you feel a little more comfortable about it, and they go, and I know Kyler Murray was out. The Cardinals just dominated the 49ers. Their system and their just a complete roster gives teams problems. And the Panthers went out there and dominated, and then they execute on offense. They executed in the red zone. So I'm feeling pretty good about the Panthers right now. I'm very much impressed with them and what they're showing me on the field. At least on half the side of the ball is dominant play, really. So I like where the Panthers are at. And they still got a fairly decent record compared to the rest of teams in the NFL. So I felt pretty good about shooting them up 8 spots. Their Washington football team they play this week, they're kind of hot, off that Buccaneers win, so we'll see what happens there. 15, the Saints go down 3 spots. Kind of a messy game, but they still put up a fight with the Titans, and now they dropped 2 straight, at this point one of the Falcons the prior week before. Now against the Eagles, who are on fire right now. They're looking like they're better. That's a tough game, so the Saints got to go out and win that game. They're down 3 spots, but they're pretty close to we sending a game like that to the Titans in overtime. So we know, even though it's been a little bit of a mess for the Saints, losing some guys, they still could put up a fight here. So let's see if they can turn it around here. I definitely think they can. The Bengals up 2. The Bengals had a bye and they went up 2 spots. So kind of this range of the power rankings helped them. Were the range that they are in, because they were in the range of the Saints, the Browns, the Raiders. Well, all those teams lost. And I'm extremely disappointed with the Browns and the Raiders. So the Browns and the Raiders had to move down a bit more. So that kind of helped the Bengals go up 2 spots there. And the Bengals are off a 2-game losing streak. So they kind of got, rewarded for a bye here, just because the teams right with them are so disappointing. The Saints, I wouldn't really call extremely disappointing, but like the Browns and Raiders, but they did lose 2 in a row. That Falcons game they're still holding on to. Bad one. And a little sloppy this week. So the Bengals kind of move up by default there. They got some love. Chargers down 3 spots. I almost want to move the Chargers down more for that loss, because it should be a winnable game. They should be able to do a lot more offensively. The Vikings really didn't run as much as you would think. They actually threw on the Chargers, which is surprising, somewhat surprising. The Vikings can throw, but against the Chargers' pass defense. So I'm a little worried about the Chargers, honestly, but it's tough to move them down further in this. Is kind of what they've shown. Still kind of feel like they're the better team in some of these teams. And again, a lot of these teams in the range of them lost. The teams in the range of them, the Bengals, who had a bye. It was very tough to move them up even in another spot for having a bye. The Saints, Browns, Raiders, we discussed it when we just talked about the Bengals. So Chargers kind of got some help for not moving down more than 3 spots. But I'm a little worried about them in terms of, I don't think they're going to lose the rest of their games. I'm not saying that, but I thought they can be not only a playoff team, but a division winner. And I'm starting to worry about, they might be a fringe playoff team here, because they got some problems right now. And it made sense kind of in a game like, again, we talked about the Ravens, the Patriots playing those specific types of defenses. But a game like the Vikings doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If they would have got dominated on the ground and they gave up 160, whatever they average a game, yards, and they had no time. I know they lost time of possession, but no time of possession. No, they had some. They had pass attempts. I'm just confused on what they couldn't get going there, why they couldn't get going. So it's a little bit, you don't want to panic, but we're almost getting there with the Chargers. But still, I still view as a pretty good team. Colts will go up 5 spots. Yeah, they beat the Jags, and they made it interesting. The Jags ended up making it interesting, so people may say, how do they move up 5 spots? Again, the Chargers losing, the Bengals being on the bye, the Saints losing, the Browns losing, the Raiders losing. The teams like the Broncos losing, that kind of helped them. The Colts have been impressive to me. The last loss we saw was against the Titans. They scored a ton of points on the Titans defense, who's pretty hot right now. I'm impressed with the Colts offense. I guess the knock on them is putting teams away, maybe, because I think they could have. They kind of really got conservative in a different way. Most teams kind of just run when they get conservative. The Colts do it in a different way. You almost want them to run more. Maybe trying out some things while they had a good lead on the Jags. I think if it came down to it, I think the Colts can handle business and put that game away. But they did, obviously. But I like the way their offense is playing. They're running all over everyone right now. So I moved them up 5 spots to number 12. So they're getting going. We seen them start. We seen them start the year kind of slow, and we see them kind of getting going now. They play the Bills this week. I'm looking forward to that one. Steelers down 2 spots. They tied. I'm going to move them down 2 spots. Very winnable game against the Lions. I know Big Ben was out, but was it really Mason Rudolph's fault? Just too much sloppy play on both sides of the ball. Receivers dropping the ball, fumbling the ball. Receivers, tight ends, I should say. Defensively, missing tackles, poor angles. It's weird, and against the Lions, and you tie a game you should win. So I moved down 2 spots, and other teams that I thought were more impressive or getting wins that were right in the same range went and did that. So they were to move up. So it's not like Steelers tie the Lions, they're moving down. It's that on top of other teams winning, so they moved down 2 spots. They play the Chargers on Sunday night, 2 teams that are moving down a little bit there. Chiefs up 4 spots to number 10. It's been a sloppy year for them, but they're getting going now on a little bit of a winning streak. They dominate the Raiders in Las Vegas on Sunday night. They absolutely dominate them. The offense kind of looked back to normal. The defense played very well. They got everyone going pretty much on the defense. So that was impressive. Let's see if they can keep going off that. They got a big game against the Cowboys, but they're back in the top 10. I said it weeks ago. We know they'll probably get back up there, but I'm not just going to keep them up there. Some people's power rankings work that way. Mine don't. You got to actually go win and show us what you could do to move up. The Chiefs are getting back there now that we see here. So they're up 4 spots to number 10. Number 9, the Rams are down 4 spots. A 2-game losing streak. Still don't have a statement win besides the Bucs game, which was early season. Once they lost to the Cardinals, exposed a little bit of things for the other good teams, and that's kind of been a problem for the Rams. So they've been extremely disappointing here. And the 49ers, every week I'm saying, man, the 49ers must be bad. What they're presenting on the field, and they got dominated by the Cardinals with Colt McCoy, and the Panthers go and dominate that team. I'm saying, man, the 49ers might be just really bad. I keep saying that to myself. And the 49ers just go dominate them on Monday Night Football. And the Rams started the game with, bad interception and then a pick 6, mistake by Higbee. And that digs yourself a hole. But I don't expect that to continue. I don't expect that hole to continue to grow. I don't with the Rams versus the 49ers. I expect the Rams to go put some points up on the board and make it interesting. And they didn't do that. So, of course, the start's very important. If that doesn't happen, it's a whole different game. But based on how that game was played, I still think the 49ers win that game, no problem. That's the way it looks. So, Rams got some problems. They're not particularly good the last couple weeks on either side of the ball. They're not. They're just not. So, it's pretty disappointing here. They got a bye week this week. They're down 4 spots this week. Bucs go down 2 spots. They started with some turnovers. They kind of fought back with Washington. It's a bad loss there for them as well. They're kind of in the same boat as the Rams, but a little more disappointing with the Rams, for sure. What they've presented on the field on both sides of the ball these last 2 weeks. The mistakes they made. Just 2 games I expect them to win for sure. But the Buccaneers, it's disappointing there. They're going to go down 2 spots up with the Giants on Monday night. So, you start to worry about the Buccaneers now, too. A little disappointing from them. 7, the Bills up 4 spots. They beat the Jets, but they go out and get a win. While these other teams not only lose, it's just really not only about wins and losses here, but not only these other teams, like the Bucs, like the Rams, go out and lose, but they're just extremely disappointing right now. So the Bills get some help there. They go up 4 spots. So it's really not they beat the Jets, they're going up 4 spots. It's, they won. And some of these other teams are extremely disappointing right now, so they got some help. 6, Patriots up 2 spots. The Patriots, maybe not as good of a record, total record, is some of these other teams' range. I really don't care. They're on a good winning streak. And they're pretty damn impressive. This defense is debatably the best defense in football right now. And then you look at the Bills, and then you look at the Patriots, and then maybe the Panthers right there. So impressed. In the offense, very much impressed. They had some 90-plus yard drives against who we view as still a pretty good Browns team, talented team. Just dominate them. Just absolutely dominate them. So the Patriots, number 6 in football heading into Week 11. They're up 2 spots. Ravens only moved down 1. That's a tough loss, though. They looked pretty bad, losing the Dolphins. It was a short week. It was a matchup problem. So I'm not as worried about the Ravens as the other. I shouldn't say that. I should say it's not as disappointing as teams like the Bucs and the Rams. Not on a 2-game losing streak. They still had a great comeback from behind win against the Vikings the week before. Will teams start the game plan the way the Dolphins did? Easier said than done. But That's a pretty disappointing loss. They got some help. Again, the Bucs losing, the Rams losing. I just didn't really feel the reason to have the Ravens plummet, anything like that. So they're down one spot. Pretty disappointing, though, with that one, obviously. It could just be a matchup problem. Will other teams make it a matchup problem? They play the Bears this week, who don't blitz. The Dolphins, that's all they did was blitz. The Bears don't blitz. So will the Bears just throw blitz at them? It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Out of the top four, the Cowboys up 3 spots. Still, that loss last week was pretty disappointing, but they bounced back, and they win by 40 points against the Falcons team, who beat the Saints last week. Just a dominant performance on both sides of the ball. So a dominant performance like that in winning will help you, but again, other teams, like the Ravens, move down. Bucs, Rams, these teams losing kind of disappointing fashion, moving down. That also helps the Cowboys move up 3 spots, number 4 here. Cardinals down 2 spots to 3. They were here, and they moved back up to 1. Now they're back here. They're not at full strength, so that's a legitimate excuse. Obviously understandable, but every team's hurt, obviously. So end of the day, they lost. They got outplayed, and the way that game went. Obviously, if Kyler Murray's in there, they don't start with a turnover. It's a whole different game. The way the Panthers played, but the Panthers might have won that game still, but that really has nothing to do with this. At the end of the day, the teams that were right with them and who are now in the top 2 won their games. So they're going to go down 2 spots to number 3. Let's see if they can a big game against Seattle this week. Let's see if they get back going here. Getting their guy back, Kyler Murray, maybe DeAndre Hopkins as well. We'll see. Packers will be 2. Impressive defense in the Packers this year. Very impressive, even without their star players. They hold the Seahawks to 0, the first time that Russell Wilson's been held to 0. And they win 17-0. Offense a little slow. Not too big of a deal there. But they're back on the right path here, and they get that win. And number 1, it's hard not to put the Titans at number 1. It's the first time they're at number 1 this year because they're on a massive streak. They're really the only team that's consistent. And there's other teams that would have stayed consistent if they're healthy. You definitely can make that case, and I definitely would agree with you on not all of the cases, but for a lot of these top teams that we just talked about, I would definitely agree that they would be as consistent as the Titans. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. They're not. Titans are the most consistent team. I like where their defense is at. And their defense is getting better and better. They're making big time plays. We'll see what they got going forward. You still kind of wonder that if they're the same or not with Derrick Henry, and the answer is that they're not. But it hasn't really been too much. It kind of showed a little bit in the Saints game, but it hasn't really shown these 2 games yet, and it could kind of show here. Luckily they got a pretty fairly favorable schedule the rest of the way, so they could continue to. I could see them slipping up against a team they should have no problem. They play the Texans this week. I could see it. They play the Patriots in a couple weeks. That's actually a tough one. Titans, they're on a roll. I like where their defense is heading. It's clearly getting better. Most consistent team in football. They are 1 heading into week 11 here. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're back every single week with these power rankings every single Tuesday afternoon. We got picks Tuesday nights. We got score predictions Wednesday. And there's a lot more than just that. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter for updates, channel updates, NFL updates. Link down below, description, comments for everything you need. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.